Did you ever in your life hear of a person named Crystal Cartier before this lawsuit was filed?
No.
Did you ever hear a song written by Miss Cartier called Dangerous before this lawsuit was filed?
Never in my life.
You're positive?
I'm more than positive.
Well, hey, it's Rob, and I recently came across a video that included the song Dangerous by a woman named Crystal Cartier. I'm not sure if that's her real name. I find it unlikely, but anyway, I had totally forgotten about this, but in 1995, Michael Jackson was sued by this woman. She claimed that Michael stole her song Dangerous, and I don't know that I had ever heard it before up to this point, but I took a listen, and within 5 seconds, I determined this is the most ridiculous lawsuit that's probably ever been brought to any court. So hey, if you're not familiar with me, I did work in the studio where Michael Jackson recorded the album Dangerous. I've done a lot of content about Dangerous over the years, and this is a story I had just forgotten until recently. But anyway, I was not an important person. I did not do anything significant. I was the guy that got lunch. But I was there for 2 years, which included a lot of the, basic buildup of the track, which eventually became Dangerous. I was there the day that the studio partition wall fell on Michael when he was trying to record the vocals for Dangerous, and we had to rush him out to the hospital. I made a whole other video about that, but anyway, so basically Michael Jackson's version of Dangerous, I think, grew out of this song called Streetwalker. He wasn't particularly thrilled, with how that song was going, but he liked parts of it, maybe the bass part or whatever. And he started to develop a new song based on some elements of Streetwalker with Bill Bottrell, who was the producer and engineer, working with him during that time. One of the three that were working, well, four actually, that worked on the album Dangerous. Anyway, so they started to work on this song Dangerous, and eventually it kind of got passed along from Bill Bottrell to Teddy Riley, and that's the version you hear on the record, Dangerous. It is the title track and the last song on Dangerous. It was supposed to be released as like the 10th single from Dangerous, but by that point, all the lawsuits and things were happening to Michael, unrelated to music or any of that stuff like that. But so in the middle of that, he had to deal with this ridiculous, frivolous lawsuit from this woman, Crystal Cartier, who again claimed that, Michael stole the song Dangerous from her. Let's take a listen to her version and see if you agree.
He's so dangerous. You've got to get him off your mind.
So first of all, you can't copyright a title. If you could, people would be getting sued left and right all the time. It is just too general of a thing to sue somebody over. So I can go write a song and I can call it Happy Birthday. I can call it Let It Be. I can call it, Billie Jean, whatever. It doesn't matter. You just simply cannot, get sued over the title of a song. So, if you hear the music in Dangerous, the word dangerous has 3 syllables. There are only so many ways you could sing 3 syllables, so many rhythms, whatever. And there is not even any similarity, really. Michael's song Dangerous, I think they're all on the same pitch. Dangerous, it's like the same pitch, and then I think it lowers down for the second time he plays it, he sings it. And Crystal Cartier's version, it doesn't even sound like that. Anyway, so it's just kind of a frivolous lawsuit that I don't know why was just carried over for many, many years. He didn't even get to court, I think, till 1995 over this, when Dangerous was released in 1991. She claims she wrote it in 1985 and released it around the same time, 1990 or 1991. So she had been, basically dealing with this for at least 5 years, if not more. hoping that she'd get her day in court and that they would see her side of it. However, once they got to court and Michael did this deposition, which we played a clip of at the beginning, explaining, the formation of the song, where it came from, the different elements, how they came together and whatever. And when they finally got to court, they said, all right, this woman, Crystal Cartier, is claiming that the song was stolen. Let's hear her version of the song. She didn't have a copy of the song. This just doesn't make any sense. Why would you wait around for 5 years for a lawsuit, show up, and then you can't even play the song to even compare it to, of course, Michael Jackson's Dangerous, which millions of copies existed of that song. But she claims she only made 25 copies on cassette, gave them out to various people. That's what she's claiming, that Michael must have gotten one of those 25 cassettes. Can you imagine? Only 25 of them exist, and somehow Michael would have come across it and listened to it and it's, oh yeah, I really like this, I'm gonna rip it off, So very unlikely. Anyway, so she showed up. She said all the 25 copies had been distributed, sold, given away, whatever, and she didn't have her own copy of the song. So she had no way other than to sing it in chord or play it on the piano or whatever she did to even, describe or let people know what the song sounded like. The master tape itself of her version of the song Dangerous was erased because master tapes were expensive. She went to a cheap studio. They made the master tape. They made the 25 cassette copies. Then they erased the master tape and they sold it to the next person. And they used it for a totally different song or whatever. So there was no way to actually, just share this sound recording that she claimed was infringing upon her copyright. So, she had made a newer version, which came out way after Dangerous had been released. So how is that going to hold up in court, when the song Dangerous has already come out? I mean, it's very possible. Well, she said she wrote it in 85, but it's possible even she knew that, Michael had a song coming out called Dangerous. And, so she put this song Dangerous on her cassette. Interestingly enough, her cassette also has a song called Michael on it. So, I don't know. It just, when you look at all these facts and, think about, wasting all this time and resources and hiring lawyers and doing depositions for a court case where she can't even play the actual sound recording. Well, of course, to make a long story here a little bit shorter, she lost. So she lost, and she wasn't given any rights to appeal or anything like that because she had no way to prove even, if it was infringement that, anyone would be able to hear this song or, decide for themselves. And, I'm not sure the version that I played the little clip of, if that is the remade version. I assume it has to be because all the originals were lost or whatever. And even on her remade version, it doesn't sound anything like Michael Jackson's Dangerous. So, of course, I've talked about Michael Jackson's songwriting process and how he always collaborated with different people and whatever. But one thing I'm sure he would never do is steal a song outright from someone else. And, with all the stuff going on and all the allegations and the, depositions and the, accusations happening during that time in his life, he then had to go deal with this silly, ridiculous lawsuit on top of everything else, which was quickly just thrown out of court. And that's the story of the Dangerous lawsuit. All right, I did another 10 minutes. Wow, that's pretty good for me. Thanks for watching.